The Specialist Phil and Blake are back, and today we are recapping episode number 7 of season 2 of Deal or No Deal Island. Just when things were starting to get good, we had one of our most successful episodes in podcast history for Deal or No Deal Island. Blake is riding high, saying how much fun this show is, texting me things like, wow, this is getting good.
Wow.
All these words that Blake doesn't use in public, all this positivity, all this other stuff. And Dr. Will dies. Blake, how you doing, buddy? You okay? You alive? He even said, I'm retiring from reality TV. Blake.
Is that what I said? Oh, no, Dr. Will's
okay?
retiring.
Out? Yeah.
I was like, oh, my God. The funniest thing was I usually watch this like an hour before we start in the mornings. But last night I was so excited. I was like, let me watch on nighttime and figure out my TV finally and see if I can do that. So I'm watching at 11:39 p.m. last night. And honestly, it sucks Seychelles went too. Like, let's not forget about her. Like that came out of nowhere and had no like CK hates like at least 3 other people, and she's like, Dixon, I'm gonna keep you around so I have nowhere to go strategically soon. And that's not how that you pronounce that word, but like it was
job,
like,
bro.
damn, did I throw it off by watching at nighttime? Maybe if I had stuck to my morning viewing, we would have lost David and Parvati back to back. No, that's not how that works. Dixon and David
That's not
back
better
to back.
either. We don't want that.
What do you mean? You don't want Dixon and David to get the F out over
David
Dr.
and
Will?
Parvati back to back. Come on.
I mean, who knows? Like, what are you watching the show for right now, Phil? Who's your top 2 favorite people right now? Well, let's get that out of the way before we get started, because honestly, we got a recap to do. We got all kinds of stuff. David, it was so weird of like David being like, "Oh, I'll take that deal all day," and then it's like Lete is still the person making decisions. Who like, I don't know if Lete has played board games before in her life, but seems like she's just taking everything at face value. I think what's hilarious too is on first 1 or 2 or 3 season shows, everyone reverts back to 2001 when it comes to talking to each other about like the game of like, there's snakes. There's like what's the other term?
The name of the episode was literally Snake in the Grass, which kind of
yeah,
made me
you're
roll
like,
my eyes because come on.
Then they said weasels and Philip showed up on screen. I was like, what? Like, why are we doing animal terms or whatever? Like, you guys can't call each other losers and like whatever. Like, not that I'm worried about the animals out there, but like, it's just so funny how
Wow, so you hate animals, Blake?
I hate animals. It's just so funny to me that like on Survivor we never do this stuff anymore because there's rules of engagement. And Deal or No Deal Island 2, we're still figuring out the rules of engagement. And even Dr. Will is like, yeah, I'll take that deal, when it clearly David had no interest in ever taking that deal. I thought they did a great way of editing it so it looked like it would. But David's big reveal of like, but you got a $5 million bodyguard. I was like, none of this makes sense. Like, just say this. Just call Dr. Will stupid to his face.
Why didn't it make sense to you, Blake?
No, it's like, what if you're trying to do a gotcha moment? Like, do instead of pro Dixon, go anti Dr. Will. Like that's where my mind goes of like, maybe in Australia where you punch kangaroos twice, this would fly, brother. But you got to go anti instead of positive in this on this coast, bro. Okay, well that's
Look,
that's the quick and short of it, I guess. For the
yeah, I mean, you did a good job. I mean, I feel like you just recapped everything there. I mean, it is crazy that we see David be the one who takes out Dr. Will, and Dr. Will the whole time has been saying, I feel like this guy's done something before. I feel like he's won some sort of reality TV show. Dr. Will showing that he has his mind in the right place. But at the end of the day, on a show like this, random things can happen. Really, I knew that this was over Well, first of all, I knew this was over when you were texting me at 11 o'clock last night saying, what the hell's going on Deal or No Deal Island? I'm like, dude, I haven't watched. Why are you doing this to me? But then I knew it was over when the tribe or the teams, I'm in tribe mode because I'm in Australian Survivor and Survivor mode, podcasting both of those tonight. Blake will be back. Fantasy game tonight. Blake, Phil, and Will, your favorite trio. Blake's favorite trio.
Shoot.
Yeah,
I
6 p.m.
better take a shower.
Yeah. But I knew that this was over when the teams split into the groups of 4. Lette, Philip, Parvati, Lachelle, CK, David, Dixon, and Dr. Will. And when that team, I knew that team was going to lose because CK is just, we'll talk about CK, but CK is doing her own thing. And so I knew CK was going to try to save herself, which is exactly what she did. And I think it makes sense based on what took place at the temple that night, the night before. So I think it makes sense that CK did this. Nobody likes her. Everybody wants to get rid of her. So good on you. Do what you have to do. So that meant, though, that David, Dixon, or Dr. Will were going to be in danger. And there was no way David or Dixon were going to vote each other out or take each other out of the game. So Dr. Will, the only way he was going to live was if the person playing Deal or No Deal lost, because they also weren't going to put Dr. Will up to play Deal or No Deal, because then that puts David at risk. So
why wouldn't they do that? Let's say had that. Let's say had that thought. I think what's interesting to me is we see specific decisions, and then there was the idea of the banker loves what happened last episode. So you winners get a power. The last person winner and last Deal or No Deal winner, whatever we call these daily winners. It is interesting to me of like, then that just breeds like you're going to have one of those 2 winners from last episode is going to win because they'll be team captain. And one of them has the ability. Like it is almost saying like, hey, thanks CK for the extreme blow up last time. We'll give you a free round so you can be a villain for another 90 minutes of screen time. But I think what's super funny to me is CK's in this huge hole that she literally dug herself 3 times in front of everyone.
And she won't put the shovel down. She is James level grave digging right now. I mean, she is just out there with the shovel, with her 6-pack, with her pecs, just digging. It's like every time you're given a chance to not keep digging, she's like, but we could go another foot. Like, what if we put this grave 7 feet down instead of 6?
There's not enough room for all these people. Because, like, I think what legitimately blew my mind, when I sent you that text, there was 14 minutes left in the hour. So Dr. Will hadn't gone yet, but I was like updating Wikipedia to be like, okay, who went home? Fully expecting to see Dixon's name. And then it's Seychelles gone. And I was like, how the hell did that happen? She must have like mouthed off or said something, whatever, or like maybe CK has a good reason. And the reasoning for Seychelles to go, like Seychelles is going to be a lost soul in reality TV. Like, I don't think she'll ever do another show, but I think she had so much potential. And like, I've seen a live with her and Philip where it was like they were talking and having a blast. But like, truly, CK, if you were okay, I don't like Dr. Will, but like, I'm trying to do her voice, but it's not working.
That was actually pretty good, which bothered me a little bit. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. It was like, why are you okay? I'm gonna flip to the family, but then they're going to be closer to each other, and the other people are going to hate me more than them. So it's like you're jumping from bottom of alliance to bottom of alliance instead of like, don't worry, guys. I feel really bad about what I did during the mission last time. I'm going to try to get this amount of money as much as possible. And honestly, the person who put me in that bad mind space was Dixon. So I'll just take Dixon out. I'll live with myself. We can talk about this tomorrow. And I know the whole reason we cast people who can't do this is so we have explosive moments. But truly, I can't imagine being Seychelles on the flight back home and being like, how did everything go wrong? I'm the least threatening person based on everybody thing. I made maybe Philip mad. I made that connection right back, and we're good again. And I wasn't a target from the family at all. And now I'm gone in 9th place. Like, what the hell happened?
Yeah, I mean, why do you think she chose Seychelles? I mean, we're jumping all over the place. We're 9.5 minutes in, and I feel like we've talked about everything all across the board. But let's start with the top of this episode. Why do you think that she chose Seychelles over Dixon?
Because the options were Dixon and then
Seychelles and Lachelle, right? Yeah.
She wasn't going to get rid of Lachelle. And Lachelle, everyone's working out or doing something, and Lachelle's putting on lipstick in her vignette. I was like, dude, the people from the traders got over to the editing team here, because that's so funny that the vignettes made it to the island. You said a thing and I didn't listen at all. Okay, why did Seychelles go home?
Dude,
I don't
come on.
I have no clue. Like, I think that's what the thing is like, CK made a deal with all those people in the room. They were all together. I think the deal was Seychelles, Lete, Dr. Will, Philip, and CK of like, can we work together to go against these other people? And then immediately afterwards, it was like, we can. I have no idea why she didn't get rid of Dixon, because I do think where I'm going to go with later in this episode is like, at least 4 people are playing dead after this episode. There is no way they're going to break into a bigger alliance. Like, one of them will make it to the finale and then have to hope they make the money. But like, the family's about to like win out and crush everyone. It is what I'm seeing. Or like Lete had 3 straight. I get to pick who goes in, and then like, who are her 3 victims based on her wins. And like, she didn't want Dr. Will to go. So it's like, how are you not putting Dr. Will in that position? I'm bouncing around again, but like, I'm clicking the Deal or No Deal.
You can't help yourself.
I think that's a testament to like, okay, here we're going. So like, Lete went 3 for 3, but the victims of her immunity wins are MG, which she was happy about.
She was. Yeah, I mean, that's true. That's true.
Seychelles, who I think she was working with on the Alliance, and Will Kirby, who she was working with in the Alliance. So she's been safe, but like, when you are safe and have all the power, you need those eliminations to be people you're not working with, instead of like people that were in the room going, we're all 5 working together to get rid of the other team out.
Yeah, in this episode, we literally hear Lete say the words, I like Dr. Will. Like, and she says those words, wins again, and Dr. Will goes home. And that's where, like, we even see the plan that was put into motion in this episode of Dr. Will's going to try to throw a challenge to get CK eliminated from the game. The problem is, I feel like they were too blatant with that plan, and then CK gets a little bit of power and ultimately elects to protect herself, which we can talk about. Should she have just gone for the high money values because they did get their 6 cases first, all of that, whatever. But I do kind of feel like this is going the way you're saying. I feel like Dixon, David, Parvati are in great spots. Lachelle, I feel like, is going to go in an unceremonious way just because we haven't heard much from her. Lete, CK, yes, they're playing, but ultimately there's not enough allyship there. And then Philip's kind of the wild card, right? Where like, I could see Philip winning. I could see Philip getting 7th. It's going to depend on where he falls in all of this, but he kind of falls into that swing position. But clearly after the beginning of this episode, him and CK aren't on good terms. Why would they be on good terms? CK just tried to blow up his whole spot. And that's what somebody said earlier. And, to keep jumping around, Oded says, I think David didn't want to take a dig at Dr. Will, so Will wouldn't blow up his spot, which I think is a really fair point. I think that that's something that's going through a lot of people's heads. At the previous temple, we see CK try to blow up everybody's spot, then take the fake high road of, I don't want to leave you guys with $250, and then continue on playing the game that she's playing. She's trying to blow everybody up. So that's fresh in David's mind. The next night when he gets there, he's not going to try to blow up Dr. Will's spot, because Dr. Will is the only one other than Parvati who's coming up to him saying, I think you're from something. Now, Parvati knows he's from something because they're going to go play AU versus the world, and they both know that they're on that, but Dr. Will doesn't know that. So David has to play this a little bit cooler, which is why I think he doesn't blow it up. But all of that coming back to is Philip and CK, I doubt they're working together. Parvati and Lete hate each other. So what is our final 4? Philip, David, Parvati, and Dixon. But the beauty of Deal or No Deal Island is it's not as simple of a game as some of these other shows where those 4 can all be aligned, but you still have to put somebody up against the banker who has to play the banker. And if they beat the banker, they can get rid of one of those other people. And tonight, had Dr. Will been the one chosen to go up and play the banker, Dixon or David go home. And so you can't protect all your people at the same time as you try to strategize like this. And ultimately, the decision to try to throw a challenge to get at CK and put Dr. Will on that team is what got Dr. Will eliminated. Had Lette just picked Dr. Will and Lachelle goes to the other team, right? Yeah, had Lette pick Dr. Will and Lachelle goes to the other team, Lette, Phillip, Parvati, Dr. Will probably win. David goes up and plays Deal or No Deal, and Lachelle probably goes home.
Which I think is interesting.
It's hard to strategize this game, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. And like the whole thought process is there's been a lot of Will haters. And Parvati is almost unlikable at this point because she's such a Will hater instead of like going with the flow. Because usually her whole personality, like how are you going to be allies with Russell Hantz for 39 days and then be like, Dr. Will's a complete asshole that I can't stand? It's like, bro, you already did this one, like, girl, like this.
Cleaning up her image. Come on,
yeah.
Blake.
I think what's interesting is there's been Dr. Will haters, but it's really hard to work together to get somebody out because anybody can get immunity. But this is the first time where, okay, we're going to do a schoolyard pick, to borrow a Survivor term, and MG can pick people she wants to eliminate to be on her team because she can go grab the safety and then put people out there. So that makes sense to me of like, MG, is she working with David? I don't think so. MG maybe still doesn't. Oh, crap. CK. All these different names. Sorry. Plus, Sarah Oded said something about MG over here. Okay. CK. CK, is she working with David? I don't think so. Is she working with Dixon? No, she still doesn't like him, even though she had the opportunity to eliminate him. That's the other thing that makes no sense to me is like CK, like of all this stuff, do you really trust Dixon more than you trust Seychelle? Like when you eliminated Seychelle, like I don't get that at all. Of Dixon is literally sleeping in a hammock with Parvati and David at nighttime, and they're like tucking him in and reading him a bedtime story, and you're like, I'll keep him around because that way there's another target in front of me. It's like, girl, there's no targets in front of you. Everyone hates you. It's just, are they going to waste something? And I think that is this thing of when we're enjoying these reality shows that have a mixed bag of fans versus favorites, let's just call it that, to borrow another Survivor term or Survivor podcast, fans versus favorites shows like this, there's just people who don't get games. And I feel like the two people who were in charge this time, Lette and CK, just really don't understand competition reality shows. And this is where I think this show, I really have enjoyed the last couple episodes of this, but it did feel like some people are out of their element. Of they screwed the pooch 3 times in a row. And like, I know NBC, like the tweets are like, Parvati, another immunity. She has been completely immune this whole time. What an icon. And honestly, if you look at the trailers for next week, they're not even hiding it. Parvati is playing Deal or No Deal next week, which I think is crazy.
I didn't see the preview for next week. So is she?
Let me blow it up for all of you guys, because I thought that was a very interesting thing of like, Parvati's the biggest threat. Parvati is blah, blah, blah. And this time it's time for Parvati to blank. And it's like, it's not that blatant, but you see where Joe is. He's in the temple. And to his left, where every person who's ever played Deal or No Deal is Parvati. And so you're damn. So the wheels come off next week. I wonder who's going to be in charge, who puts Parvati in that position. Because like, we're bouncing around. I love bouncing around. Like, you are
the ultimate bouncer.
Whenever you're Phillip, you're Phil. Imagine you're Phillip. And you wake up the next day and Parvati slinks into, because she's a snake, Parvati slinks into your tent. Oh, wait, she lives in the same tent with you. She goes, Phil, why are you not talking as much? Do you have that mindset that Philip did, or are you frozen? No, I think he's frozen. Gosh dang it. Let me text him. You are frozen. Because if I'm Philip, I am like, oh my God, that sucks that somebody wants to talk to me again. Oh my goodness, we're go vamping. What else happened? What else happened? Okay, Phil's texting me, keep talking, coming back. I think the other thing that was really funny about this episode is Lette talk, like both Lette and David, Lette and Will talking to David. They haven't talked to David in any kind of strategic stuff recently, but then they both immediately are like, David's in. David's in because he's going to save himself. And that's something where you're like, if you do think somebody is a former winner of a reality show and they're immediately a snap agreeing to like, you know what, I know my back's against the wall, but like if you give me that decision, I'll go for it. You just have to think more critically of like, are they going to do exactly what you want to stick around for one more round, or are they going to blow you up, ruin your alliance member, and like have a way to the end now? The Will fans are so mad. I am a Will fan. I am so mad. It does feel like watching Dr. Will's like exit out. He went and hugged everybody. He's a showman, but he's also sportsmanship. And that was an interesting layer of like we see him go over to hug CK. Do the whole no hard feelings, like because for him it isn't. There is no hard feelings. He's been on 3 or 4 shows at this point, and it's something where it doesn't matter if Dr. Will has fought you or in the past or not. He's gonna treat you like a normal human being, and CK does not hug him back. And I was like, CK, what are you doing? They're normal people. Phil's on a phone?
Dude, no, I'm on a laptop. My computer just totally crapped out. It's something with the Wi-Fi connecting to my computer. My computer runs like if it runs like too many things, it just keeps crapping out and saying that there's no Wi-Fi connection, even though there's clearly Wi-Fi connection, because all I did was pull out my laptop and now my laptop is working fine.
This is a crazy angle too.
Yeah, I'm going to try to log back
shadows.
into the computer, but I figured you can only filibuster for so long.
No,
I needed to get in here and save the day.
I can only Blake Buster.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, I get what you did there. Holy crap, you're good at this.
I was talking about Phil's. Oh, he's leaving again?
I'm back.
Different Phil's back. How do you have harsh lighting in one of these and then regular lighting in the other?
Because I live in hell. Anyway, hi everybody. How's it going? How are you? I'm back. I don't know why that just happened. I'm so confused.
Blake. James Barber's here. Let's go.
I'm sure everybody's doing great, right? Everything's doing good. Nothing's wrong.
Yeah, I was basically talking about the gamers versus non-gamers, and then like Will's exit of it. It did seem like if this is Will's final foray into the reality TV, it is like, oh, we'll always wonder what if. I don't think Will could ever won this show because it is the fans versus favorites. Like I think he's more of I can come in an all-star scenario. Everyone knows the rules of engagement. Nobody's going to call people snakes and weasels 3 days in. And like, it's sad that he won't. Maybe he'll come back for Deal or No Deal Island All-Stars.
What I wanted to say when it came to like Dr. Will, and this was a while ago now, so apologies if I'm going back to the beginning of something here, because again, I didn't get to hear much of what Blake said, but this is one of those shows where like you're not trying to get votes at the end. So being a villain or being a hero doesn't really matter. Like you really do want to try to find a way to play like a middle of the road game. Like being CK, it's not like people are going to say, oh, we don't like CK, so we're going to keep her around longer because we're going to get the votes at the end. Like that's not how that we'll get the votes over her. Like Parvati did this with Russell.
CK.
Yeah, Parvati did this with Russell to try to beat Russell. There's no reason to do this to keep around CK because you're not going to beat CK. So like that's the one thing that confuses me of like some of the strategizing that's been going on this season with how much feuding there is. And obviously it's reality TV. That's the point. You're supposed to feud. You're supposed to go in at each other. But like CK trying to blow up everybody's spot, there's not really much of a benefit to blowing up everybody's spot because now people just are going to find you untrustworthy and probably just try to keep making you play the banker or use you as the elimination as soon as you're up for elimination, because there's really no benefit to keeping you around. Like, oh, well, she's a bigger target. Yeah, but you're not guaranteed that she's going to be eligible to be kicked out of the game at the same time you are. Whereas in Survivor, like if CK can't win an immunity challenge, you know that you can beat CK in an immunity challenge. Maybe you keep her around and get rid of some other people and use her as a shield. But that's not the case in Deal or No Deal Island. So yeah, sorry, I don't know what you were talking about. So apologies, but
all good. I think another thing that is very interesting to me is it's 4 times in a row where somebody makes a good deal. So have they figured out exactly how to do it? It's all random, but have they figured out when the exact time is, or has it just been 4 people luckily guessing a 67 to 50% chance? Because both times last night it was like, is it in your case or is it not in your case?
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm just gonna hope it's not in my case. And they both good deal. And you're like, okay, great. I do think one thing that we talked about earlier was let's say picking, are you going to pick Dr. Will or not? Well, 2 times ago she did pick Dr. Will and they got rid of somebody she wanted. Last time she didn't pick somebody that she could control and she lost an ally. So I think it is like we are seeing the strategy develop of this season 2 show of you can always go back to that 3-win period of Lete and go, great, first one, second one didn't quite work out, disastrous third time being the picker at the temple. And by we should probably think of a different word than picker. It's probably daily winner. What do we excursion winner? I need to remember the word excursion for the rest of my life. Here. So that's something where I'm like, okay, if I'm going on Deal or No Deal Island 3, do I want to win? And like I know you just said we're gonna knock people off. We're not gonna knock people off if they're despicable because they lose in the finals. But once again, is the same strategy for Survivor of like, do we need to get Lete out as soon as she's not immune because she keeps winning, or is that going through people's head in the show at all, you think?
I think it just comes down to like what purpose does Lete serve for you? Is Lete is Lete useful for you? Is CK useful for you? Are these people useful for you? Because like right now, again, at the end of this game, it's not I played a better social game than you, so I should win. Or it's like you're playing against the banker to win the amount of money. So you really are like looking at this as, okay, I want to be the final person who's doing that case. You're not playing head-to-head Deal or No Deal at the end of the day. So that, I guess, is...
Can I ask what the finale is, in your opinion, of what it's going to be?
I mean, I'm pretty sure that the last person is just going to play Deal or No Deal against the banker. That's what it was last year.
So what happened to Amy? How did she get second place last year?
Yeah, I strategically removed myself from the chat. Blake, I've told you on this podcast I didn't watch the finale of last season. Blake
will
recap it alone. I told you that. Why are you putting me on the spot? What did you think of season 1, Blake?
It was great. It was great. Okay. Now we know. I think just like I was trying to make a parallel of Dr. Will being on his last season 2 show was Big Brother, where they completely switched from what Big Brother 1 was to what Big Brother 2 is. I'm just wondering if there's going to be a huge format change for the finale of like, hey, we do want this to be a show that you watch for 20 years because NBC loves that and wants that. And is there going to be like, surprise, we're bringing everyone back because we want another episode of Dr. Will. Like last year we got Boston Rob all the way to the finale, so we didn't have to pull the random shoot of like get Boston Doctor back in here. But maybe this time around it's like, how can we get Dr. Will, Parvati, and David to be in the finale no matter what? Like,
I mean, the fact that they put, I think what's crazy about this show, and I think we've talked about this on here, is like the fact that they put 3 celebrity type players on after only 1 in the first season kind of says that Deal or No Deal Island feels like this is like a celebrity based game. It needs to have at least one of them make it deep. And the way that this game is set up for the 3 players on this season that are celebrity types to go out 1, 2, 3 is almost impossible. Like it's almost impossible for those 3 to get eliminated right off the bat. The odds are not high. So I think that's why they're okay with the fact, in my opinion, I think that they're okay with the fact of Dr. Will goes home at 7. We still have 2 of these people in final 6. Even if they lose Parvati, or I guess he went home at 8. So we're at final 7. But even if they lose Parvati and David next, you're at final 5. Okay, at that point, you've gotten people to watch the show. Hopefully they're invested enough that they're going to finish it out. I think that's where it really comes down to with this.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about Parvati.
Okay, let's talk about Parvati.
What is your current opinion of Parvati? 7 episodes of Deal or No Deal Island. Is this a good version of Parvati? Is this one of her best shows she's been on? Do you like her demeanor? I think it's worth talking about. Of when we think back about Deal or No Deal Island, if you're a big Parvati fan, are you telling somebody you're trying to get into Parvati, watch that first or watch that last?
I mean, I think you're telling him to watch it last. I don't think it really shows off who Parvati is. I feel like Parvati going at Letty or Lette, I don't know. As somebody said, isn't Lette pronounced like Betty? Oded said that. I mean, I feel like Dave pronounced her name 12 different ways on the show, so it's not surprising that Blake and I can't get it right either. Honestly, I think her
LT,
first name,
baby.
her first name is Alexis. So Alexis, there you go. I know how to pronounce that. So we're going to go with Alexis from here on out. I feel like the thing with Parvati here is like she's going at Alexis, which is fun because that's the Parvati we all know and love. That's the type of Parvati that we want to see. But at the end of the day, like, is that really the most exciting version of Parvati? No. Like, is this her going at Jason? No. Is this her going at Ozzy? No. Is this her going at Jonathan Penner? No. Like, it's not it's not her trying to defend her game in Heroes versus Villains. Like, this version of Parvati is probably the weakest. I mean, I'd probably take Trader's Parvati over this, but I think at the end of the day, the thing is like, that's not because I'm disappointed in Parvati here. It's because what is Parvati able to show off in this game? Like you said, Deal or No Deal Island put out on Twitter yesterday, or X, whatever the hell it's called these days. They put out the other day, she's been saved for 7 straight episodes. But what has Parvati really done to be saved for 7 straight episodes? So much luck is involved in being saved for 7 straight episodes on Deal or No Deal Island. Now, there is some skill, and there is some, what do you call it? Relationship building that goes into this. That's important.
Yeah.
But yeah, social. I mean, and she is playing a good social game. Her, Dixon, David, great. It's also helping a lot that her and David know they're going on Survivor AU versus the world. So like that is helping her a lot. But at the end of the day, like, I don't know, like Parvati's fine. I liked seeing her and Alexis. I like seeing the two of them go at each other. That was fun. I like the relationship she has with Philip. But like, do I think Parvati's going to win? No. And I think what also sucks about this game, this is like one of the big knocks on Deal or No Deal Island is Parvati's safe for 7 episodes. Next week, she goes up, she plays Deal or No Deal, and she loses. And that's how she goes out. We're going to get 12 viewers next week. Like, people are going to be disappointed.
Yeah, it's hard to edit that too. But like, the one thing that I do want to be like, Parvati, why are you having such a weird conversation with Philip in front of other people? Of like, if you truly like it almost feels like Parvati doesn't really value Philip. And I think that's something where I've seen 2 conversations where she does he would have bullied you in high school, and then Philip shutting down after that. And then actually it's like 3 or 4 conversations now where Parvati's blind spot is Philip. Of, Philip is fuming here, and Philip's clearly rolling his eyes and being like, I don't appreciate that either. And then, Philip, you want to say some more? And then Philip going like, please, no, I will. If I say something, I'm going to explode. And then the next day, the 4th time, Parvati goes, do you want to talk about it now in front of other people? And Philip's like, I'm sure last night said enough. And instead of Parvati going, I get it, here's some space, Parvati does the other thing of like, well, I guess that's all. Well, like, whatever, bro. And you're just like, oh, if we're going to talk about a great social game, she clearly has the most strongest person. This is a physical game when it comes to excursions so far.
Yeah.
Philip is the one person you probably don't want to piss off of the civilians we've chosen to say. And like, she's clearly like, that's the person you want to keep a good social game. She's been partnered with him the first 3 times of her getting immunity out of 7. So it is like, if it all comes falling apart next week, like, how does Parvati get there? Is she, I'll take up the mantle? I don't think that's the player she's been.
No.
Of like, give me the opportunity.
Okay. No, I think if for her to play this, it has to be some CK loses and chooses Parvati or something. Like, somebody has to pick. There you go. Thank you. It is Betty. Okay, Letty. Somebody has to pick Parvati to go in. And that I think is what's
as a negative, not as a, we're doing this as an alliance.
This isn't like David saying I want to play, or Dr. Will saying I want to play. This would be Parvati being like, I guess I don't have a choice. And maybe the people who are up, maybe it's just like, maybe the person in control is CK and the decision is between, are you going to take Lachelle or Parvati? Well, you're going to put Parvati and you're going to hope Parvati gets eliminated, something like that. I think what is a bummer moving forward here is like, Parvati's cutthroat personality doesn't get to come out in this game the way it gets to come out in other games. So like, if Parvati does just lose Deal or No Deal, it's over. If she wins Deal or No Deal, then like, maybe she could make that move to get rid of David, and David be like, what are you doing? I never saw that coming. But really also there's not much of a benefit to getting rid of David. So that's where, like, if you're asking me in terms of Parvati's game, is it as overrated as her fans versus favorites game? Absolutely not. Cerie's game, 100% of the time, no questions asked. Cerie made everything happen. Is it as overrated as her heroes versus villains game? No, absolutely not. Look, I'm just trying to piss off the Parvati fans right now. But no, like, she can't do anything here. You really can't do anything. She's done the best strategy she could play on this show, which is get in with one person you recognize, get in with one or two of the others, and hope it goes well. MG got taken out early. There's nothing Parvati could do to protect her. Like, that's probably the most blindsided Parvati has ever been in Survivor. Like, in her reality TV history, that was probably the biggest blindside, and there was nothing she could do to protect it from happening.
Right. I think another thing, I've just realized that CK, she got rid of Sydney with Lachelle back in the day, and now she got rid of Seychelles. So she's knocking out women. If you're like, it's a good thing you're not on Big Brother or Survivor. You have like so many hate. Like, I think that's something that I think was worth talking about, of the fan bases of those shows on Twitter, of like, maybe this is a more lax show of it's just a week and a half in Panama, or 3 weeks in Panama. It's not, we're all starving or we're all in a house where you can see every single minute of what we're doing. So maybe that's what's lulling some of these people into playing a less strategic in a game where they have like agency.
Yeah.
Because it is just like, oh, hopefully everything goes right over the next 3 days. The other thing that blows my mind is there's 5 episodes left. So 7 people, 5 episodes is just like, we're literally halfway, kind of.
Are you sure there's 5?
That's what this is saying on what you call it, Wikipedia. Let me see how many episodes.
I mean, I guess that would make sense.
There was 12 last season, so like,
yeah, that does make sense. Damn.
Yeah, March 4th is episode 9, titled $1 Million Walk. Next week is called Safety in Numbers. I don't know. I'm just trying to do like, what do we do our due diligence with in Survivor that we're not doing on Deal or No Deal? And like, episode titles, who had the episode titles? I don't think any of that matters. Like, do they edit this show where you can do an edgic thing? Because who do you think is going to win? I have no idea who's going to win. But like, if it honestly is David, it's point, like,
I think it's either Philip or David.
It has to be.
And I will say, we haven't mentioned the scene on the beach of Dixon saying to David, chase your dreams, go play Australian Survivor. Like, that's an incredible scene of TV.
I could not tell if he was like obviously I'm giving too much credit to Dixon, so I should stop. I the whole time was like, is this like him hinting? I know I am a super fan of reality TV, and I have watched both of your seasons. I just am such a super fan. I know not to tip you off, but we didn't have the confessional right after where Dixon would go, I'm playing right into David because I know he doesn't want people to know this. But the whole time I was like, is he hinting that I do know this and I will use it against you? Like,
No, I don't think he knows. I think him and David are literally just having a conversation on the beach, and that's the whole thing.
interesting.
Yeah, I think that's the whole thing, honestly.
One final question I have, because I know we're wrapping up soon. Last year, Parvati was on the Traders. So which Traders person would you invite to Deal or No Deal Island 3? Because I know there's an explosive Traders episode next week or literally 2 days from now.
I would take Tony. I mean, I know he didn't do much on the Traders because he went out so early, but I would do Tony. Screw it. Tony's going to deliver. And this is a show where he can play.
You think Carolyn would go to Panama this summer too? They want more Carolyn?
I mean, they definitely want more Carolyn. She's unbelievably popular. There's no denying it, but I don't know if Deal or No Deal Island is the best show for her.
So Tony, Carolyn, and then I would say...
I mean, Jeremy could do it, but I don't feel like this is up Jeremy's alley as much. I feel like Jeremy can't command the screen the way that Tony or Parv can. And Parv doesn't really command the screen either, but because Parv has such a dedicated fan base, they're going to watch her no matter what. Jeremy doesn't have the Dr. Will, David, Tony personality. Like David had 164 confessionals in Survivor All-Stars.
I don't like that at all. I think a housewife could get onto Deal or No Deal Island. I wouldn't be too bad about it either. Like that's a layer. Or like, who's that one girl? Ciara? Is that how you say her name? Sierra? I think Sierra could make it to Traders because I watch Traders literally through clips online and the videos afterwards because I'm a weirdo. But I do think we had our Boston Rob go from Deal or No Deal Island to Traders, and then we had Parvati flip. So I think that is a thing where these are both on the same network. Get excited that will happen next year. It's just a matter of time.
Wes.
I'm tired of Wes, to be honest.
Most people are, but why wouldn't he come back? I mean, they'd ask him to play for sure. Why not?
Wes is somebody who could soliloquy all day long. I'm honestly tired of the MTV soliloquizers though, because you've had 23 seasons to soliloquy, and like it's hard to make more than 7 soliloquies. And we've heard, so if you've been on 23, it's harder to do more than 7. We've heard your soliloquies 3 times over at this point. I don't care about Bananas or Wes playing.
Yeah, see, John says here, what about Tyson? But Tyson hasn't played yet, so I don't think you can use Tyson yet. You'd have to play the Traders first. That's like what Blake's looking at, is go from Traders into this. And James says David for the Traders. I would watch David on the Traders in a second.
Luke Toki.
I would love Luke Toki. Yeah, for sure. I mean, but Luke's not going to do it with his kids and stuff. There's no way.
He doesn't want more money and more Americans.
I don't think he would do it.
I wonder that's another layer of like, after we watch David and Parvati play again somewhere else, after having like the Australian thing that people are going to watch for Suri, Tony's on there too, right? And Parvati. That's like an all-star. Like the fact that they're going to scoop the season 50 of who we actually want to watch on season 50. I know we've also argued that we don't want to watch people play a 6th and 7th time for Survivor. So I'm being so hypocritical right now. It's just funny to me that like they're going to scoop Survivor 50 by a whole year. And then to prepare for that, you're going to have to watch Deal or No Deal Island to see what Parvati, and because I'm sure they're going to mention the family. They may even fly Dixon out to be their joint like family visit, you know.
Anyway. All right. So in terms of this, apologies for my internet cutting out at the one point, and I don't know what Blake talked about, so I feel like that broke the
we're gonna have to edit that out.
No, I mean, we're not editing anything. I hope you did a good job. I mean, apologies, everybody. I have 2 more podcasts tonight. I'm podcasting with Blake and Will doing our Survivor 48 fantasy game at 6. And then McKenna and I will do our week 1 recap of Australian Survivor, Brains versus Brawn 2. So I'll have my laptop at the ready in case this happened. This hasn't happened in a while. This was happening pretty consistently back in like October, and then it hasn't happened. So I thought I was in the clear. I was absolutely not in the clear. So I have my laptop ready to go if I need it. So tune back in. Thank you all so much for listening. What did you think about this? I mean, we didn't talk about Blake, and I don't know how we didn't mention it, but like Seychelles' final words to CK were phenomenal. Golden TV, just golden TV on the way out there. So that was a nice blow up to watch. She just like yells at her about everything. And it's like, Andrew, a flat ass. I was like, man, she's just going in.
Let's go.
So yeah, so that was pretty good. But we lose Seychelles, we lose Dr. Will, and we'll see how this final 7 plays out. I mean, like you said, we have 5 episodes left. So we got to go all the way through the month of March pretty much. That's a lot.
And there's a good chance that by the time we get to episode 11 or 12, we're watching Lachelle versus Letty.
That's pretty much what happened last year. The last episode of the season,
you're like
Jordan, Amy, and God, I forget the other girl's name.
I have it up real quick.
Do you?
Stephanie.
And Jordan won, right?
Jordan beat Amy and Stephanie. Those are all women in the end?
Yeah.
Okay. Because Jordan's Michael Jordan, you know? That's interesting. So women have made it to the end. I wonder what's going to happen for this final 2.
There's
final
more women left now that Dr. Will's gone. It's Lachelle, Parv, Letty, CK. Taking on David, Dixon, and Philip. I think the winner is one of the guys. It's one of the guys, or maybe it's Letty, but I don't feel like Letty's. I feel like they wanted to significantly change the edit of the season because last year's winner wasn't super satisfying. And I think that whoever wins this season will have been more relevant throughout the entire thing. And I don't think Letty was huge at the beginning. That's my opinion. All right. Like this video, subscribe to the channel. Let us know what you thought about the episode. Let us know what you thought about our recap of the episode. How Blake's soliloquy, since that's the word of the podcast, how his soliloquy went. Otherwise, we'll see you guys tonight if you're big Survivor fans, which I'd hope you're Survivor fans if you're listening to our Deal or No Deal Island coverage. We will see you tonight with our fantasy game. Go check out my boot order prediction for Survivor 48. Blake edited it, did a wonderful job, as he always does. And yeah, that's it. I'll see you then, and catch up on Brains versus Brawn 2 so you can hear McKenna and I talk about that tonight. Otherwise, bye, everyone.